Oliver, what a dramatic lighting you have going on
I know.
there.
Maybe I'll turn on. Yeah, I'm in the middle of moving. So just try and find. There you go.
Oh, no,
Spot.
love it. No,
Oh, there
great.
you go. That's
Oh,
better.
oh,
There you go.
fantastic. Oh, that's like a technique, isn't it? Where you like do the, okay, yeah, yeah, no, that's good. He obviously works in film and TV, knows about lighting. Okay, so what we want to know from you, first of all, Oliver, is who are you and what do you do? Tell us about location routes.
Yeah, so I'm Oliver Laurenson-Gore. I'm a location manager and scout, mainly working in high-end TV and kind of independent feature films. And been working in the industry for about 12 years in different roles, but 6 years as a kind of location manager, really. And yeah, and I established Location Roots about 3 years ago now. It's a specialist kind of library about anything that's involves kind of on the filming on the move or filming on roads and stuff. I did a road trip movie a few years ago, and I kind of found there was no place to kind of find these kind of roads or private driveways or whatever you need, basically. So yeah, that's what I've created.
That's fantastic. I mean, what a niche. I love
Very
it.
niche, very very niche. Yeah.
Um, so in general, so obviously the session that we're in at the moment is film and TV. In general, there are lots of jobs that are very behind the scenes that people don't actually know exist. Location scouting is one of those, I would argue. There's not enough people that know that it is a thing. Did you know that it was a thing when you were at school? How did you find out about it? And also, I guess, where would a young person go in order to be able to learn more?
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't know anything about it. I knew there was kind of production teams, but I didn't really know there was a, person out there who goes and finds all these amazing locations and manages them. So, yeah, it was certainly a an eye-opening like, oh, I quite like that. I mean, my sort of like passion came for that when I kept spotting kind of locations on TV films and films and went, I know where that's filmed. I know exactly that spot. And then I kept on seeing other things that I kind of recognize, maybe a photographic memory or just kind of a love for kind of travel and interest. So that kind of that was where my passion stemmed. It took me a while to kind of get to be in locations and the department itself. I suppose my biggest exposure was working kind of short films, and that's, where a lot of people start, and it's a fantastic kind of breeding ground to start, where we had to go and find a house or whatever. So I was doing that alongside of kind of production manager kind of role to kind of go, oh, okay, let's find this location and meet the owner and do all those kind of things. So now I'm just kind of doing it in a larger scale, I would say, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, what a fun thing to be able to do. Like, I assume you get to travel all over the place all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you become sort of you end up working wherever the work is, of course, but kind of having specialist kind of areas, maybe in a region or in London. I spent about 5 months up in Scotland, and I've been asked to do another job up in Scotland because, I've got a base there, I've got family up there and stuff, and that kind of having multiple bases across the UK is really helpful because the industry is kind of coming out of London. I wouldn't say there's a massive, if you've got languages, maybe you can travel to European and other countries, but I would say very much kind of be an expert of where you live and kind of another region of the area, really, to be honest.
No, that's really interesting. Good point. And like you say, we're not London centric in terms of the creative, or we're trying to be less, much less London
Yeah.
um, in general across the creative industries. And so wherever you are in the UK, like you say, if you can become a specialist in your area, then location scouting could be a job for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the kind of entry level, I suppose, going back to entry level jobs in the locations department is as a trainee or marshal. So, I know people who have turned up in Halifax, for example, and gone and followed the unit signs, normally fluorescent colours, and asked, is there any jobs going? Here's my CV. We are approachable kind of approachable people. So there is maybe the opportunities to kind of go, oh, you know, go and speak to production that's filming down the road from you. I mean, I've taken on marshals in a local area, and it's a huge, massive help to kind of understand, okay, what are the issues in or concerns in this area, and actually taking on kind of local people is a good thing that we can be doing.
Yeah, really interesting. Also, guys, for everyone watching, so there's a spreadsheet that I've shared with you, which is helpful, like organizations in the creative industries that you can have a look at. But in one of the tabs in there is trade publications. So it will be, there's a load of trade publications for film and TV where they say where productions are going to be taking place. So if that is a strategy that you want to do, then go have a look at that tab. And you'll be able to find out what's happening, I guess, in your local area before it happens, because all that stuff is announced in the trade publications. Sorry, just had to get that in there.
Ah, it's good.
Okay, so what kind of skills? Obviously, like you say, photographic memory is great.
Yeah, it does help. Yeah.
If you don't have that, what other stuff, what other skills do you think you need in order to do what you do effectively?
Yeah, I suppose in locations you have to be both kind of organized and creative in a way. When you're certainly, you've got a brief from a director, you've got to be able to interpret that and come up with suggestions. But also kind of on the day of filming, you've got to be organized and you've got to plan ahead. So you've got a mixture of skills in that. I would say communication is the biggest thing. I always try and take people who have worked with the general public, so like in coffee shops and in retail and that kind of thing. And anyone who's really, anyone who's really got organizational sort of ones really, I would say. So if you're good on Excel and you're confident at writing a letter and working with maps. If you love Google and you love looking on Google Earth about, oh, this road looks like this 10 years ago and now it looks like that, that's what we do basically.
Oh my God, I love that. Like a natural curiosity for it. You might already
Yeah,
be doing what you could be doing as a job.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so when you say, we've had a question come in about the short films that you were working on at the beginning, which helped kind of open the door to location for you. What were those short films? How did you manage to get on those sets?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky enough to be working with a production company, and often it was a small production company in Slough, Resource Productions, who do a lot of like really good stuff, and there was a scheme called Random Acts, Channel 4 kind of backed. And I would say it's about, finding local production companies or even connecting with a local film school who are doing graduate films every year. If you're kind of interested in going, oh, I can help you find whatever location, if it's a road or a house or just a park, for example, that's the way of kind of getting in and getting that experience. But also maybe talking to local film offices as well. And so there's, Screen Yorkshire, for example, who run trainee programs around kind of locations, and all of those kind of things will help you to kind of get as much kind of skills as possible. But I would say everyone, no matter if it's a locations role or production role, everyone deals with securing locations. But this is a sort of more specialized sort of role, really.
Yeah, but I think it's one that you will have a natural affinity for, right? Like you were saying
Yeah.
already, there's so many people on TikTok, for example, that do that. Someone gives them a clue as to a location, and then they kind of go nuts on Google Maps. Like,
Yeah.
finding
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
location. And if you enjoy that kind of content, then you may well be suited to this as
Yeah,
a.
totally. Yeah, yeah.
Who else do you work with? Like, where do you fit in the kind of like cog of the wheel? Because obviously you're with a production company, but are you, working with the producer itself, or with the budget team, or who is it?
Yeah, so I mean, we're working with the main kind of production team and producers. If you're a location manager and kind of higher up, supervising location managers and scouts, be working with the producers, the line producer and the director, and maybe the other kind of heads of the department who are involved in kind of picking those locations. So the cinematographer and the production designer, for example. But on a day-to-day basis, I mean, we're there, we are dealing with every single, department pretty much, from costume to makeup to, are there any sound issues? Are there any kind of areas that we need to park our lighting trucks? So we're dealing with all of the issues and concerns to make the filming kind of happen, basically, on sometimes a huge scale and sometimes, a very small scale.
Yeah, that makes sense because it will, you don't have to find a location that looks perfect for the set. It's got to actually be logistically viable, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm always, when I'm scouting, I'm always looking for where can we park our tech trucks, but it could be where are we going to park our small vans, a couple of vans, and you don't want a location that you can't get into on the day that will slow down sort of filming. So that's really, quite important to our job to kind of get the access that we need, and that goes with kind of working with the council and also working with the homeowner or location owner wherever you're filming.
Absolutely. And so there are tools that you work with, like you were saying, like you literally just said, a homeowner, so people will register their houses, won't they, as kind of location potential places and all that kind of stuff. So you do have tools available. It isn't just you and Google Maps, basically, as well.
No, yeah, there are location agencies that have kind of properties that you can, that are kind of vetted and they are actually interested. The old school kind of way is handing out letters and knocking on people's doors if it's very particular. So you've got to have that kind of, hello, I'm Oliver, I'm a location scout, I'm working on this show. We're looking for a house or a flat, so you've got to be able to kind of, talk with the homeowner very quickly and make build up rapport pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, no, I can see that. You've got to be a bit peppy when you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and we only have 1 minute left. So, Oliver, share with us your best piece of advice that you wish you told yourself when you were younger.
Uh, Best piece of advice I would say is make connections, no matter kind of what stage you're at, in terms of if you're working on a student show, you never know where those people are going to go. So one director that I worked on in a short film is now, I'm not going to name them, but now has worked on Top Boy and now working on, another sort of big show. You never know where those contacts are going to lead, no matter what the department is. So always be nice, always be respectful, and for locations, turn up on time or just before. So never be late, I would say.
Never be late. I think, as a general rule of thumb in business, never be late. I think that's a very good piece of
Yeah.
advice. Um, Oliver, thank you so much. This has been really enlightening. I actually didn't know anything really, I don't think, about location scouting, but I feel like I could have the skills for it. I spend a lot of time on Google Maps.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting. Thank you so much.
No
Everyone,
problem
please
at
check
all.
out Location Routes as well, because you do have some interesting content on there, don't you, that can help people learn more.